Hey everybody, what's going on? And I'm Randy Hales, and you know what this means. It is not time for talking Memphis wrestling, not at all. 3 more hours, and we will be rocking and rolling with talking Memphis wrestling, a show I'm so excited about tonight. I couldn't wait till it became 3 hours from now at 7 o'clock Central. I couldn't wait because I wanted to come on here and tell everybody to give you 3 hours to round up your posse, to round up fellow wrestling fans, to round up fellow Memphis wrestling fans and tell them the owner, the founder, president of Power Pro Wrestling is in the house. Andrew Calvin Jr., Al Tuttle, a Facebook user, and I cannot tell who that is. But if Facebook user that says, hello, Randy, tell me who you are. Hey, folks, this will be a very exciting show tonight. Couple of things that I want to tell you, and I want to especially tell Andrew Calvin Jr. and Al Tuttle and the Facebook user and anybody that might be watching this show today, as there was not much promotion, there was not much advance as Bobby Bunch, and I don't know why, Bobby, that all of a sudden on you it just says Facebook user, other Facebook users like Andrew Calvin Jr., it says his name. Now, on Al Tuttle, it says his name, but on Bobby Bunch, it says Facebook user. Isn't that not weird? Is that not strange? I don't know what in the world is going on. What's really going on? Well, I'll tell you what's really going on. It has been my mission for many, many years to keep the legacy of Memphis wrestling alive. And we do that on Monday night with the Power Pro Wrestling Watch Along. We do that on Tuesday night with Talking Memphis Wrestling. Now, on the Monday show, me and Adam Dunn brings you an episode of Power Pro Wrestling. We showed last night episode number 32. It was from November the 21st of 1998, and I think I'm right on that. It was November the 21st. Next Monday night, we'll show number 33 from November the 28th, 1998. Very excited about that show for sure. On Tuesday nights, it's Talking Memphis Wrestling, and we have a regular panel. The show, all my shows produced by Adam Dunn. However, on the Tuesday night show, we have a panel. Now, not everybody can be here every single week. The consistent person that's here is me. However, the panel includes the legendary voice of the Hulk Hogan Memphis debut video, the legendary voice of the Kamala debut video. That person is Michael St. John, a member of the Alabama Broadcasters Hall of Fame. He's one of the members of the Hall of Fame. Then the next member grew up watching Nick Gulas wrestling, grew up watching Birmingham wrestling, grew up watching Georgia Championship Wrestling. He was the head guy of Southeastern Finance. Pat Trammell joins us. And then a gentleman a few years younger than me, but the same background as I had as a youngster. He went to the American Legion Arena on Washington Avenue in Jonesboro, Arkansas. His story began like my story began. His career has been in education as a football coach, as an athletic director, and now in administration as the assistant superintendent of Southside Schools. Chris Ellis in the house a lot of weeks on Tuesday night. Tonight, it looks like we have Michael St. John at 5 minutes after the show starts. Then, as soon as he can, he's been on a business trip, but Pat Trammell will then join hopefully later in the show. And Chris Ellis has a school event, and he will not be on the show at all. As Al Tuttle, that's Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash right off the bat, right off the kind of random. Al, what causes you to think about and to type out The Man in Black? Folsom Prison Blues. Hey Porter, cry, cry, cry. I walk the line. A boy named Sue. 5 feet high and rising. And there's so many more. I didn't even know what the hell shirt I was wearing today. You're exactly right. I started the day with a long sleeve shirt, put this on because it got warmer in the day. This is the newest of my Johnny Cash shirts, and it's probably a couple of years old. It looks a lot better than the other one. My favorite entertainer of all time, the person that in the early 70s I saw in concert at Arkansas State University, the old, not there anymore, Indian Fieldhouse, to see The Man in Black. And in Jonesboro, Arkansas, here's a little trivia for you. In front of a live event, Johnny Cash performed a boy named, no, that's wrong. The song One Piece at a Time. The song One Piece at a Time. Johnny Cash debuted that in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Now I'm producing this little, I guess this is certainly just a preview type of thing, and I'm going real quick pop as I can look at my notes, and I'm going to pop up a graphic right there. The 1970s. We're not only going to talk about the 1970s, we are going to talk about the 1970s in Memphis wrestling. That's the era that got me. That's the area that hooked me. That's the era that made me the wrestling fan. That's the era, the 70s, that I started in the business, if you will. That's the era that Randy Hales became a wrestling fan, a Memphis wrestling fan. Then, in about 1972, that's the year Randy Hales became a merchandise seller. 1976, that's the year Randy Hales got a little monies, got a little pay, got a little spotlight, got up in the ring as a 13 or a 14-year-old kid, got up in the ring, and by God, Randy Hales was a ring announcer, and that was great. TV announcing followed that, interviews followed that, doing the market-specific interviews. It led to me going through high school, going to towns, announce, going through college, going to town to announce. I would go to a school on Mondays. Then I would go Memphis that night, go back to Jonesboro, go to school on Tuesdays, then figure my schedule. I could get out of there at 11, head to Louisville, Kentucky, rush back, get home 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, and I would go to school. Sometime I would go to school when I got back in town. It was all worth the sacrifice. It was all worth the mileage. It was all worth the time. That is where the stories come from. That's where they come from growing up, born in 1961, becoming a wrestling fan in the 70s, working myself up to right now as I am the guy that's the ambassador of Memphis Wrestling, keeping it alive. But so many stories and so many great things, so many memories and so many events have come up in that era. And it started in the 70s. We're talking about a bunch of stuff. Tanner, I did say what my schedule was in the 70s. And we're not going to, this is not a specific talking about anything. This is not, even though I have notes right here, and I will go ahead and click over here, then click so you guys can see me, and then I'll put the chat back on here. And so I'll do research and write notes, a lot of notes with research for the Monday and Tuesday show. The Tuesday show usually has a lot of notes and a lot of backup. Now, this show is a preview show. This show, it's my thinking and my goal to do this show to make people want to come back in less than 3 hours and be excited about talking Memphis wrestling, be excited about the 1970s. I was telling you all this stuff about the 70s where my story began in the 1970s. My story in wrestling began in the 70s. My story in life started December the 10th, 1961. Tanner says, did you ever write notes in the 70s for matches? No. Maybe well, it just depends on what. Well, I guess I'll take that back. And I wish I still had them. I would have a daily journal. And folks, I am going to go away and be right back. I won't be far away. And I think you guys can probably see me as I go, or you can hear me as I go away. But for many, many years, and I still do it, unfortunately, the golden years, I've lost the journal. I lost the daily reminder, the regular weekly, daily, or daily planner. And that is what I keep up with everything still today. So starting early on, probably when I started announcing about 76, I started writing the Jonesboro card, and Eddie Marlin would call me, and I would write it in my book. And then I would call the Jonesboro Sun, and I would place the newspaper ad, or I would ride my bicycle, because before I started driving, ride my bicycle after I had typed out the card and give it to the newspaper to make sure no misspelling. So I would do that. Then when I started going to Memphis on Monday nights, I would write as I watched the wrestling show. I would write the card scheduled for that Monday night. Then I would certainly the Jonesboro live event the money, and the attendance. I would put that. All those are gone. Plenty of moves. And then I had a long period of time, 10 years, where I was down on wrestling, didn't want anything to do with it at all. But for many years, I can't even tell you, just all the way up to the end of the USWA and the Power Pro stuff. I wouldn't make notes. I would make notes of the card, the attendance, the money. Would also write down how much I got paid for the event, but who went over the match or what we did on the matches, none of that. I mean, none of that at all. Didn't keep up with that whatsoever. Now I have notes for TVs and we've been talking about that on Mondays for Power for Power Pro Wrestling and formats and that sort of thing. And at one time, I had those booking books, and I had TV formats, and I went long time ago. That went away. As Tanner says, dang, would have been great to see what kind of small notes and observations you jotted down back then. That would have been more than relevant. It's more than relevant because everybody's smart today, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Absolutely, it's not. It's absolutely not. To me, the excitement, whether it is or whether it's not, that's going away. And I'm as guilty as anybody. It's going away. Wrestling was better when it was protected. It absolutely was, in my mind, as a vehicle to be entertained by, to a sports type of thing to watch on television. It was better when it was protected. Absolutely, 100% was better. And I would debate all day long. And as far as notes again, we didn't put on the notes, and then fans and different people would keep up who won or something like that. If you were booking on the thing, you might make a note and say worker return, that sort of thing. But it's just completely the way you did it, and there wasn't a lot of things written on paper that would expose the business. There was not at all. Do you remember the moment you wanted to become a booker and what influenced the decision? I'll go with that statement, that question, and then I'll see what Tanner had to say. That part of the business didn't really interest me, but when Jerry Lawler he took over the book in '86, and he wanted somebody around the Memphis area. I was 70 miles apart to come to the office every day and answer phone calls and help with paperwork and different things like that. And he started sending me to towns that he wasn't at, as like Louisville or Evansville or Lexington or a place he didn't go. And I started, he wasn't there, so and he was booking, but I started giving the finishes and that sort of thing. And I think just in that period, about '86 was the period I want to be a promoter, as far as a special promoter and that sort of thing. Never thought about being in creative and that sort of thing, because until probably 1981 or '82, I didn't know what creative was. And certainly they wouldn't even call it that. It was called booking the territory. Creative um, is a relatively new term. Then when I moved to Nashville and started writing with Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto and seeing how the TV was formatted and laid out, it just evolved. And just people like Lawler, Jarrett, and Dundee, they all just felt, said, man, study this business, and they taught me the business, the behind the scenes, the creative part of it, because they saw that I had a knack to that. So I hope that answers the question. So Tanner says, back when you were watching it live before I was even a figment of imagination of my parents, you saw all the epic moments live and experience history making moments in yeah, absolutely. Alan Winthrow is in the house, and Alan says the wrestling media ruins a lot of things, leaking shows about airing, um, killing the ratings. And I don't know if I agree with that it kills the ratings. I really don't. I do have a problem with them leaking spoilers. I just think that takes the excitement out of the fan, because 95% of the fan anyway look for the spoilers, want the spoilers, feel they're 100% in with the like Flynn with what we do and how the business operates. And they have strong feelings about how everybody does everything. And, as far as rehearsing the match before moving the ring or everybody having a script. I can't tell you how it's done today, like in WWE or AEW or whatever, but a flat out script of every word, I've never seen it. I've written down on a piece of paper a whole complete match. I've never seen it. I really haven't. But I do think that the wrestling media is guilty. It's taking the enjoyment out of this business. But we're all guilty. When everybody else was doing it, finally, I was a holdout for many, many years. Jim Cornette's done it. Jerry Jarrett's done it. Jerry Lawler's done it. Jeff Jarrett's done it. They all had success with doing that, and I certainly do it. It's just something that can't be fixed at all. Now, this will not be a very long preview show at all. I just was wanting to tell everybody exactly what we're going to do today. We are going to open by doing a review of last week's Grand Slam from AEW. We will talk about Chris Jericho and Claudio Casanova for the ROH title. We will talk about the Acclaim becoming the AEW Tag Team Champions, the Moxley Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson match. We'll talk about Action Bronson and Hook on Rampage. We will also talk about Julia Hart taking a hell of a crazy bump. We'll talk about Muda coming to Sting's aid. We will talk about Jungle Boy and Ray Phoenix, Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, and Powerhouse Hobbs. We'll talk about a hell of a deal on SmackDown with Sammy becoming a honorary Uso. That was absolutely great. The Usos in a great tag team match against Ridge Holland and Butch. We also, the tease of the Bunny, the tease of Bray Wyatt. Also, we will see Braun Strowman against Otis. Man, I had planned to show a lot of road stories, and I don't think we'll probably get to maybe just a few or maybe not even all because we have so much to do tonight. But if I don't get to these stories tonight, we will certainly make this a weekly type of thing to get all these stories out. And main focus today, because I got excited about it by researching it, my main focus today, certainly without a doubt, is to cover the 70s. I am so excited about the 70s. And we will do that show at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time today as Ahmad, my buddy from Memphis, long distance information. Give me Memphis, Tennessee. I came rolling into Memphis. TWA, tell all the ladies, handsome Jimmy is on the way. I'm a rocker, a roller, a little fucky too. I was raised by just the, handsome school. I'm glad you're watching, Ahmad. I'm glad you're watching. Come back at 7 o'clock as we do a deep dive into the 70s. And Al Tuttle says, I saw Scott Steiner on the network on Table for Three with Rick and Braun. And he said his smallest payoff was like $10 in Evansville, Indiana. In the time he was there, I left though, and after that happened, and then new Booker, the pay got screwed up, so I didn't know if it ever got down to $10. I did not know that. When my first run there, the nightly guarantee was $50. Alan says the Julia Hart bump was Fierce, and it absolutely, and I was looking forward to the show tonight. Now, don't count on some of this stuff tonight, because again, I'm excited about 70s, but we'll certainly do a lot of the 70s. But coming up in the next few weeks, and right now, we'll go back to the roots of this show, Talking Memphis Wrestling. It will be Talking Memphis Wrestling because we've had a little problem on the Tuesday shows with video. I have no idea. It wants 100% on the Monday show. I don't have any idea, but when we can break it down and talk about it and have a panel. So the Tuesday night show is going to be Talking Memphis Wrestling. And coming up, again, maybe not tonight, in the future, I'll tell some great stories. Some of them never been told before. I will talk about the Randy Hales Whoopie ice trip from hell. I will talk about when Whoopi wrecked Randy Hales' car. I will talk about Kurt Hennig, Brian Knobs, road trip with Jeff Jarrett, and that was crazy. And that was the very first time I was around something bad. Something bad. I will tell that story. A classic story, Jared Waller's favorite Randy Hales story is the Frank Morrell Randy Hales race story. And we will talk about that in the upcoming weeks. Story time. Everybody has watched Story Time with Dutch Mantel. We'll do Story Time with Randy Hales. Again, don't know how many stories I'll get to tonight. But to keep you hooked on further shows, wants you to keep on listening. As Al says, everybody loves the road stories. I have a crazy story I'll have to clean up. Happened in Owensboro, Indiana. Owensboro, Kentucky. Have to clean it up. Also, will tell a crazy gal, my friend Grace, crazy Gail Brooks, little crazy incident in Bad Bob's, a nightclub in Memphis on Brooks Road. Crazy. I'll have to clean that up. I will tell a funny Sugar Tree truck stop story at mile marker 126. I will tell a funny Tojo hitchhiker story at mile marker 97 going to Louisville, leaving Nashville. I'll tell a story about Tojo getting in the wrong car. It was hilarious. A story, snow sledding, since the town was canceled because of snow in Nashville. Slow sledding with Whoopi D, the Road Dog Jesse James, and Tex Schlesinger, who had never seen snow before in his life. I'll talk about the use of acid at the Grand Ole Opryland Motel. Crazy, crazy story. Getting busted for something bad from Lawler. Scott Steiner saved my rear end twice, two different situations. I will talk about a riot in Everett, Kentucky. I will talking about being so dead drunk and slapping the dog doo-doo out of Billy Travis. I will talk about getting mad at a fast food place with Brandon Baxter and Derek King and going nuts and throwing a drink on the person at the fast food place. And no, I wasn't drunk or high. I was straight by that time in my life. We'll tell about a wreck that Randy West and I had on Cumberland Hills Drive in Hendersonville, Tennessee, on our way to Springfield, Tennessee. Again, I'll get to that when we get to that. Now, tonight, we'll talk about the 70s. And before we get into wrestling in the 70s, we'll talk about a lot of things. Who was the president in the 70s? What was your favorite TV shows? What all went on? Things that you liked, your favorite TV shows and your favorite singers and your favorite band and all that sort of thing. And we'll get in a little deep dive about that tonight on Talking Memphis Wrestling, as Adam Dunn will produce, and hopefully Michael St. John and Pat Trammell will be in the house. Then we'll break the 70s down. Absolutely. As we talk about the fabulous Jackie Fargo, Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Jarrett, Don and Al Green, the interns with Dr. Ken Ramey, Carl and Kurt, the Von Bronners with Gentleman Saul Weingroff, the great team of Tommy Gilbert and Eddie Marlin, the great team of Glenn Rossi and Bearcat Brown, the great team of Jerry Lawler and Jim White. Lawler as a single starting in 74, Lawler in 76 forming Lawler's Army, where we'll talk about Private Buddy Diamond, Gorgeous George Jr., Porkchop Cash, Dutch Mantell and David Schultz, and more. We'll talk about, in 1975, the debut of George Barnes and Bill Dundee. Then Barnes left, Dundee switches babyface. The rest is history. A guy that had a hell of a run, multiple sellouts at the 11,700 seat Mid-South Coliseum. The brother of who? The brother of Robert Gibson. What a heck of a talent Rick Gibson was. He and Lawler had a huge money run. I mean, a huge run. We'll talk about Ricky Gibson. We'll talk about the Mongolian Stopper, Paul Orndorff, Rocky the Soul Man Johnson, Tommy Rich, Big Bad John, Plowboy Frazier, Ron Robert Fuller, Jimmy Golden, Bob Armstrong, the Magnificent Zuli, the Blonde Bombers, Handsome Jimmy Valiant, Joe LeDuc, a young Eddie Gilbert, a young Coco Ware, a young Rick Morton, a young Robert Gibson, and a young Bobby Eaton. Robert started a year or two before them, but around the same period, I think Robert was 77. Some of the others that I mentioned was 78 or 79. Hulk Hogan in Memphis, Jimmy Hart in Memphis, world champions like Jack Briscoe, Terry Funk, and Harley Race. I also found the January 1973 Jarrett Welch Wrestling. Nick was still here. I found the accepted list left out on Friday nights and Saturday nights. But I know what was running. Friday nights was Tupelo, Mississippi, or Blythe, Arkansas. Then something for Nick on the other end. And then on Saturday nights, it was Jonesboro, Arkansas, and something for Nick on the other end. After Nick went away, then it was Jonesboro and Nashville on a Saturday night. So Chattanooga, for many, many years, was run on a Thursday, then they changed it to a Saturday. Birmingham was a Monday night town, so two major towns was run by the Goulas Welch Company on Monday nights. At the Boutwell Auditorium, it was certainly Birmingham at the Mid-South Coliseum. Before that, it was Ellis Auditorium at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis. I think you will be absolutely fascinated by this talk and this schedule that we'll talk about today. As Ahmad says, oh my, the club on Brooks Road. I have no idea, Ahmad, is Bad Bob's is still there. Now, in the area, I think it's Hernando's Hideaway. That's another place we used to go. I don't know if that's still around or not. Hernando's Hideaway. Those were the days. Now, Ahmad, that is a mystery that I don't know. I have not heard any confirmation that he's passed away. And Frank was younger than you might have thought he was. And I really don't know. I have not heard anything. So I'm assuming he is still alive. He is somebody that I spent a lot of time, a bunch of time making these roads for sure. Alan Withrow says, congratulations to our buddy and new APW champion, Lance Smitty Smith. And yeah, I did go. I was at ringside. I was on the first row. I was there at the dojo, and I saw Lance in a four-way match. Had a heck of a match. So congratulations to him. And I will be going to Lance sometime in October. I don't remember the date right now, but I'm going with to Osceola. No. Even though he's going to Osceola right now, but we will be going to Hoxie, Arkansas, because they want me for a little meet and greet. Now, let me look, and I don't know what wrong, but it's 4:36, and I think we've done a pretty good job getting everybody fired up, getting everybody excited, getting everybody ready to go. See, I don't not playing video. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not having a dead guest. I don't have a co-host, so it's so comfortable not having to do this. But my microphone is not on the headsets. I listen to this for the videos and for the guests, but the microphone is a different situation. And it lays right beside me. It's a pretty expensive microphone and it picks up pretty good. It sounds pretty good. And I have it just right beside my laptop. So you guys don't really know what situation. I have the little set behind me. I have a big, probably 32-inch TV that I have here that I keep up with everything on, and I read the comments and I see the screen and see what's going on. Then I have the headsets, I have the microphone, I have my phone, I have the remote control for that TV, I have my pencil, I have my notes. I have the booking sheets that I showed you earlier. I got the format for next week's TV, just to make sure that I never forget this area or this era of wrestling. The world famous chain. As Lawler would sneak it, he would wrap it and knock somebody's lights out. And I love having that on set. That reminds me about the great times of Memphis wrestling. Fires me up. This fired me up. I appreciate, even though we didn't have a lot of people watching this show, I just want to stir you up, excite you, fire you up, and make sure you share, you recommend, you call your friends, your neighbors, your family, and tell them the best place to get the inside scoop on Memphis Wrestling is on Tuesday nights on Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and Pat Trammell and Chris Ellis and Michael St. John, even though Chris won't be here tonight. Adam Dunn obviously produces, and my real good, loyal cast of characters like Ahmad and like Al and like everybody in the house likes to keep this show successful and going. No, I have not, because I know these folks. And I know Dave does not like doing that sort of thing. And be honest, a lot of people in the wrestling business don't like to do stuff where they don't get paid. Now, I could probably pay him a lot of money, but I'm just not doing that, because for the most part, not for the most part, it absolutely doing this shows in the long run, even though real nice people help out from time to time, they really do. But does it all completely offset what I spend on the show? No, not nowhere close. But I appreciate anybody that does help out, and certainly appreciate it very much. But it's certainly a labor of love for me, a labor of love to bring everybody the great stories. So we got a ton of stuff coming up about the 70s, and that was a long list of people that we're talking about tonight for sure, and we're certainly going to talk about it. As Al says, if you can find one booking for you, if you can have only one booking for you, Dutch or Dundee? Are you saying right now, Al? Are you saying right now in 2022? Booking for me in 2022 or booking for me in the 80s? I gotta, I can't really answer that question without knowing the era that you're referring to. Either way, right now in 2022, because Dutch has, even though it's been several years, but he was involved in TNA booking and that sort of thing. And Dundee does not keep up with it at all. I would say Dutch, absolutely Dutch. And then in the 80s, because in the glory days, Dundee had a heck of a run in Memphis, long term with the booking, a long term with the Mid South, and he was around. So I would say, even though I think Dundee or Dutch Mantel was a great booker in the 80s, I would have picked Dundee. I think I would have picked Dundee. By, say, 98, I would have picked Dutch. I'd have picked me from 94 on over either one of them in the Memphis territory, to be quite frank. But it's a funny thing when you can't really turn back the clock for sure. There's some really great CWA wrestling on Tubi or Tuba or whatever that is. I think I have an external hard drive with every Memphis wrestling show from the late 70s all the way through on the run. And that's really exciting as well. I watch a lot of wrestling on YouTube, a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I enjoy YouTube. Well, folks, this was a longer than expected preview, but again, I'm asking to make sure you come back at 7 Central tonight. I think it's with the dynamic with the panel, with the excitement about the 70s, and you never know what's going to happen on Talking Memphis Wrestling. I appreciate everybody watching tonight or this afternoon. Be with us for sure at 7 o'clock Central. I started this yesterday. It's short, it's sweet, but we're going to do it that way. This is RH. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.